Hey,
How are you?
I'm good.
Okay. Welcome to Conversations by Courage. Um, to start off, can you just introduce your name and where you're from?
Yeah, so my name's Kaya Morrison. I am from Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago. What part of Chicago?
South Side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Tell me a little bit about life growing up on the South Side.
Not easy. uh, I think it's interesting, kind of the dynamic that I have with my city, just because my family is Christian and I grew up Christian, and so I was in a very sheltered home. My dad picked us up from school every day. I never had to walk to school a day in my life until I got to USD. But there were a lot of things that I heard about on the news and stuff like that that would go around me, but I never physically saw them, which is a blessing now that I think about it and look back on it. But hearing stories and knowing people, friends who've been through things, stories of family members and stuff like that, it's it's rough to handle. But overall, I can't say anything bad about it.
What do you love about it?
I love the culture. I love I love the atmosphere. It's home. I mean, it's how I grew up. It's where I'm the most comfortable in this world, besides my like physical home. Um, and so it's comforting. I love the culture, the food. Let's talk about it now. But yeah, it's just overall just great.
So we've been talking about heritage healing and hope on the road to 250. And I want to kind of go back in time to talk about heritage. And can you share an artifact that you decided to bring with
Yeah. So this artifact right here is a picture of my great grandparents on my paternal side. So these are my dad's mom's parents. They're actually the two people pictured right here. Um, and this is a cafe they owned, the Hardin Cafe. It's in Lake Village, Arkansas. And so they started up early 1950s, served breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It was one of two African American owned businesses in the area, in the town at the time. And it was next to like a pharmacy, so it had pretty solid business. Like people would get their stuff and then come eat, for a quick second. There's a jukebox in the corner right here and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think they ended up having it for around like 7 years or so before they sold it. And they ended up selling it because my great grandfather's brother actually ended up getting sick, and he had a stroke, and it kind of put him in bed rest. And so my great grandmother ended up taking care of him until he died. So she ended up being the primary caretaker. And so since she was cooking most of the food and preparing most of the meals, they ended up selling it. So
you? And thinking about sort of like who do you carry forth with you, or what do you carry forth with you from your heritage or ancestry?
I think the biggest thing that I carry forth from this picture particularly is just the success that I come from, knowing that there's no limit that's too high for me to reach. I do a lot on campus and just in general, just as a person. I'm very involved. And so, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming at times. And there are times when I'm nervous about things that, I feel like are out of reach, quote, quote. But then I look at stuff like this and I'm like, man, if they could do it then, I definitely can do it now with all of the knowledge that I have and all of the knowledge that's been passed down to me from their kids and their kids. So, and I just know that they're proud.
So Kai, I know you also mentioned that you had another artifact, but this is an audio artifact.
Hmm.
Give us a backdrop before we play.
Yeah, so this artifact is funny and serious and kind of a mixed emotion type thing. But this was my grandparents' 56th anniversary. Um, on my dad's side, we celebrate it like every year, like it's a birthday or something. Um, and the audio is my grandparents just speaking, and just saying how thankful they are. And I think it's interesting. I chose this piece particularly because they don't talk about themselves much. They talk about everybody else, and they talk about the love that surrounds them in their old age. They're both in their late 80s now. And so they are just talking about how much, they're just happy for us and how much God loves us and how proud they are of all of us. And I think it's just a very selfless thing. And I feel like that is kind of what my family is. We're very selfless and we just have a lot of love for each other.
Every day wasn't Sunday, but every day wasn't Monday either.
Amen.
So I thank God, because I can't, the saying count your blessings, name them one by one. And they are too numerous for me to do that, because God is so good. Gave me 3 children, 2 I birthed, and 1 is I didn't birth, but it's like my daughter. And I thank God, because everybody can't have that and say how they enjoy having it and enjoying their children. And it's all because of God and first love. And I thank God for him, because I know it's God. I just thank God for my grandchildren, and I thank God that I got the desires that I would be able to work with my grandchildren, that nobody would have to take advantage of my grandchildren.
Amen.
And
That's
that
how
was
pure.
one of the desires, and then the Lord has both of us to be able to do it and work together with it.
So on this next stage of healing, there's a lot has been going on since 2020. What do you wish to remember about this time?
A lot. I think there were a lot of lessons learned during COVID and post-COVID. I feel like one of the things that I took away the most just from being a part of this weekend and just my own reflection over the past months and years that it's been since COVID started was just making sure that I allow my feelings to be shown, and allowing that to not make me, but allowing me to show people that, you can be strong and still be vulnerable. Because I feel like sometimes people don't correlate those two things. And, you have to be stern to be, a leader, to be at the top. And it's not really, cliche to show emotions and things like that. But I think that, showing emotion and being emotional to an extent is vulnerability, and it's opening. It's eye-opening.
And so what would you say, what myths or stories have died for you, or what has been come to life?
I think definitely what's died is that, leaders can't be emotional, kind of just exactly what I said. Just leaders can't, show emotion or things like that. I think what's come to life for me, though, is that you can't do your best if you're not at your best. And that you have to first take care of yourself and your body and your mental and your physical and emotional and all of the things in order for you to output the best product, the best paper, the best anything that you set your mind to. It has to be your best if you're at your best.
I know you brought an artifact regarding healing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story behind those?
Yeah, so this is my shoes, my basketball shoes. So I played basketball for 13 years, on in clubs and without clubs and stuff like that. And I played all the way up until my sophomore year of college, my first semester. And it was the end of 2019, November 2019 to be exact. And I made the hard decision of choosing my major over basketball. and it's crazy because, you know, when people would ask me, oh, like, what do you want to be? Who are you? Like, you know, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'd say, like, well, I'm an athlete and I want to go to the league. Like, I want to play in the WNBA or play overseas. Like, that was without question what I wanted to be. And so to have to make a decision on what I wanted to do and what I wanted to be was hard because I felt like I was leaving a huge part of me. And that was who, at the time, I defined myself to be. I was like, this is who I am. I am an athlete. Like, I am a basketball player. And that was pretty much it. There wasn't much else, like, to it at the time. And so that happened December, Christmas Day of 2019. My maternal grandfather passed away. And then about 2.5 months later, we went right into COVID. So there were a lot of emotions happening around that time. And, you know, between grief and reflection and just kind of leaving a part of myself, it forced me to sit down and think about, okay, who is Kaya? Like, who is she without the shoes? Who is she, you know, without waking up early in the morning, going to weights and practice and all this stuff, you know? And who does she want to be, you know? And so that actually catapulted my other artifacts, which you'll see. But kind of just taking more on the role of, like, being a Black woman and being a strong Black woman and noticing that identity in the spaces that I'm in. So San Diego, USD, things like that. And how I want to be portrayed on campus, how I want to express myself, etc. How I want to bring up my heritage and how I want that to be shown. And so, you know, it was a lot of prayer. It was a lot of talking to God. It was a lot of writing, poetry, self-reflection. And I'm still working on it. It's not done. Like, I'm still writing my own personal story, but yeah.
So I will come to the section of hope, thinking about in 3 years the country will come home to itself. And we want to see the letter that you wrote. Would you read it to us?
Yeah. So my letter is a poem because I can't seem to write a story right. But I titled it, and I hope I do this right because I ended up writing it in letter style and not poem style, but it's titled The Remembrance of Me. I want you to remember my voice. I don't mean the sound. I want you to remember how I spoke things into existence, how I didn't tremble in front of a crowd. Remember the sayings I passed down. Remember the words I said that touch people, spoken or written, proposal or poem or recipe. I pray my words never die with me. Remember my prayers, my pleas to God about you, my children, my children's children, nieces and nephews. Remember what I pray over your lives because it was prayed for me too, by people who you may never get to meet in this life. Remember my smile, how it shined bright like your future, but still carried the plaque of my past, rinsed with the sentiment of pictures you see it in. But the most important thing is that I don't want you to remember my love. I want you to feel it. Never let it leave you. Let that be the greatest generational wealth I ever pass down to you, because I give to you my mother's love, and her mother's love, and her mother's love. I give to you something that can only be felt by the carriers of our own blood, a generational love. Be the keepers of it, in words, in photographs, in artifacts, because the things you remember about me are but a few pages in the book, in the story of us. Okay, here we are, day 2, focusing on healing. We've gone through the entire day just talking about how we've healed and the things that we're, facing with during the pandemic and afterwards, and just ways that we've healed on our own. And the artifacts today were really beautiful, and the activity was beautiful. The whole day was just beautiful, but Here I am with another poem because I just can't seem to write a story without trying to rhyme or do anything. I mean, at the end, it's just words, but I don't have a title for this one today. So we're just gonna get straight into it. But yeah. Is healing an end? Are the wounds we mend, the cuts we patch, the bruises we ice, the sickness we endure, ever really true healing? Remember these traumas as scars, as places on our bodies where we have survived, constantly reminding ourselves of our own humanity. I think that if moments of our lives that have caused us pain make us who we are, then healing is realizing that the whole we once were can never be reached again. Healing is not an end, but a repetitive beginning.